Is the future of farming in the UAE in the desert? Saudi Arabia, a desert country that saw its fortune skyrocket due to the discovery of oil, uses its billions of dollars of oil profits to power many parts of its economy and its citizens' lives. One of these facets is its food supply. The kingdom imports more than 80% of its necessary food supply with its oil money. Let's find out Saudi Arabia just shocked American scientists with this. Only about 1.5% of the land area of Saudi Arabia is arable, and what agriculture the country does ends up taking over 80% of the kingdom's precious water supply. While the country is currently food secure, farming in Saudi Arabia has been a crucial area of interest for those who wish to expand Saudi sustainability and shore up potential risks in global food supply network crashes. A surprisingly large number of indigenous plant species are able to withstand the harsh climate. Now, under the umbrella of the Saudi Green Initiative, efforts are underway to preserve and even increase the amount of vegetation across the kingdom. Saudi Arabia told the world in 2021 that it would strive for net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2060, giving the kingdom 39 years to transform one of the Earth's most emissions-intensive societies. At nearly 600 million tons, Saudi Arabia's domestic carbon dioxide emissions in 2020 ranked 9th in the world, just behind South Korea and ahead of Canada. On a per capita basis, Saudi Arabia emits more CO2 than even the United States, 17 metric tons a year versus 14 in the US, on average incomes just 75% as large. When intensive modern farming started, there was a staggering 120 cubic miles, 500 cubic kilometers, of water beneath the Saudi desert, enough to fill Lake Erie in the US. But in recent years, up to 5 cubic miles, 21 cubic kilometers, have been pumped to the surface annually for use on farms. Virtually none of it is replaced by the rains because there effectively are none. What did the Crown Prince say about the plans? As a leading global producer of oil, we are fully aware of our share of the responsibility in advancing the fight against the climate crisis, and as our pioneering role in stabilizing energy markets during the oil and gas era, we will act to lead the next green era, he said. The kingdom and the region are facing many environmental challenges, such as desertification, which poses an economic threat to the region, as it is estimated that $13 billion are drained by sandstorms in the region every year, and air pollution from greenhouse gases is estimated to have reduced the average age of citizens by 1.5 years. We will act through the Saudi Green Initiative to raise vegetation cover, reduce carbon emissions, combat pollution and land degradation, and preserve marine life. The Crown Prince announced plans to cut carbon emissions by more than 270 million tons a year as part of the Saudi Green Initiative, which would attract investments of more than 700 billion riyals. Based on extraction rates detailed in a 2004 paper from the School of Oriental and African Studies in London, the Saudis were on track to use up at least 96 cubic miles, 400 cubic kilometers, of their aquifers by 2008. Experts estimate that 4/5 of the Saudis' fossil water is now gone. From its desert vistas in the north to the southern region of Azur, the kingdom is home to an abundance of vegetation, including more than 2,000 wild plant species belonging to 142 families. By the end of 2021, about 10 million trees had already been planted across all of the kingdom's 13 regions. When one thinks of Saudi Arabia, forests might not be the first type of ecosystem that springs to mind. However, the kingdom has about 2.7 million hectares of woodland, primarily in the remote southwestern highlands of Abba and Azur. With substantial amounts of meat, milk, and eggs, Saudi Arabia is now completely self-sufficient in a number of foodstuffs. The increased food production brought about a proportional decline in food imports, and in fact, Saudi Arabia now exports wheat, dates, dairy products, eggs, fish, poultry, vegetables, and flowers to markets around the world. Intensive dairy, meat, poultry, and egg farming were all introduced early in the program, and already by 1985, local farms were satisfying domestic demand for many products previously imported. The kingdom now has some of the most modern and largest dairy farms in the Middle East, Milk production boasts a remarkably productive annual rate of 1,800 gallons per cow, one of the highest in the world. While fish production through traditional offshore fishing has been constantly on the increase, the kingdom is exploring ways of further increasing its catch and encouraging greater private investment. In Riyadh recently, fresh, pasteurized milk from Saudi herds went on sale for the first time. We surveyed the whole Middle East and decided Saudi Arabia was best suited to our system, says Khalmeji of Mastock, the company which operates the farms. Like the hens, the cows are kept in environmentally controlled sheds, in which their waste falls through slatted floors into underground tanks and is drawn off to fertilize nearby fields, where fodder is grown to feed them. Free from the stress of varying temperatures, the animals give 3 times the milk of animals kept outdoors and calve more easily too. The fact that the fodder must be grown in the sand does not bother the company at all as long as there is water, says Meji, adding that water on Mastock farms is provided by wells and sprayed over huge disc-shaped fodder fields by long revolving arms, a measure instituted to prevent soil erosion. Experts at Mastock, which also operates 600 farms in Europe, believe there is great potential in Saudi Arabia. According to the International Dates Council, there are 200 million palm trees worldwide, occupying 1.23 hectares of land and producing 9.5 million tons of dates annually in 40 countries. The Saudi National Center for Palms and Dates announced recently that according to the International Trade Center, the kingdom in 2021 ranked first internationally among 113 countries in date exports, with a value of $323.4 million. The 33 million palm trees in the kingdom represent 27% of the world's total, with 1.54 million tons of dates produced annually through 13 regions distributed over 123,000 agricultural holdings. Sedentarization was a means of imposing political control over various tribal groupings in the Arabian Peninsula. New legal structures, such as the 1968 Public Lands Distribution Ordinance, created novel land relations and spurred the dissolution of the Bedouin way of life. The establishment of an activist modern state provided incentives for large numbers of Saudi citizens to enter regular wage-based or urban commercial employment. Moreover, modern technology and new transport networks undermined the primitive services that the Bedouins offered the rest of the economy. Absent from the latest gush of Saudi green pronouncements, as the UN Climate Change Conference in Glasgow unfolds, is any mention of the fact that Saudi Arabia has already begun expanding the kingdom's oil production capacity by 1 million barrels, up from its present 12 million plus barrels a day. Because of quotas set by the 13-nation organization of the petroleum exporting countries, OPEC, Saudi Arabia currently produces only about 9.8 million barrels a day. Only Russia with 10.7 million barrels a day and the United States with over 11 million barrels produce more. Saudi also announced the creation of Special Forces for Environmental Security, with a mission to protect the green environment, preventing tree felling for firewood, and saving wild animals from extinction. At first, the initiative wasn't taken seriously, so the government started imposing deterrent fines to drum up tangible commitments, and it worked. In more rural climes, meanwhile, the greening efforts have to work against encroaching desertification, limited water resources, and record-high temperatures, all of which are thought to be the result of climate change caused by humans. The SGI roadmap sets out to halt and reverse desertification and soil degradation, preserve the kingdom's unique biodiversity, and maintain limited water resources in a nation where rainfall is scarce and groundwater is being depleted. Currently, Saudi Arabia has 15 areas that are protected because of their biodiversity. 12 are on land and 3 of them are marine. The National Center for Wildlife proposes to increase that number to 75, 62 on land and 13 in coastal and marine areas. The reserves management has recently planted 100,000 seedlings with the help and participation of volunteers in partnership with Modern, a joint effort by the Reserves Authority and partners to contribute to SGI's goals. With its fertile soil and moderate climate, the northern Juf region has become Saudi Arabia's biggest producer of olive oil and is home to vast orchards holding millions of trees. Juf also has the largest olive farm in the world, which produces 10,000 tons annually of the finest olive oil. The use of intensive planting methods makes Juf's olive trees distinctive, with 1,600 trees planted in a 1-hectare area. So that's it. Please like, share, and comment your thoughts below if you liked this video. Remember to subscribe to see our next video. Stay safe, and we will be back soon with another video.